the ANC has paid tribute to the late Pope Francis, describing him as a leader whose life was a testament to servant leadership and moral clarity. The party has joined millions across the globe in mourning the pontiff's passing. Now, ANC First Deputy Secretary General Nomvula Mokonyane joins us on the line now to talk about the passing of Pope Francis. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Mokonyane. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much, Sakina, and morning to your viewers at home. Thanks for inviting us. Indeed, the world has lost one of those internationalists, a friend and an associate of the most vulnerable and marginalized.
And what is the ANC's reflection of the legacy of Pope Francis?
Pope Francis, amongst many other popes, has become an exception in the manner in which he has brought in radical reforms within the church, particularly at the time when he was leading the church and the world was in a state of crisis. He was not silent where there's injustice. The issue of Palestine, he believed that there's every reason to find peace between Palestine and Israel, but most importantly, to afford Palestinians the right to national sovereignty. He transformed the Vatican itself in terms of access, and he was very pro-poor, somebody who actually said a shepherd must smell like the sheep, and meaning that you need to be amongst those that you are leading and guiding, and you need to understand and appreciate their issues. And we know, even now, as there have been issues here in South Africa, Pope Francis, just a simple issue that everyone was not expecting a message from him on the fire in Usindiso building. He identified with those vulnerable. He stood for the vulnerable. He identified with them. His trip to South Sudan at the height of the conflict actually resonates with our views about silencing the guns, a better Africa, the issues about social justice and inequality. How he came across also on the role of women in the Catholic Church and how strong and powerful women are when they are organized and how they help to make the institutions to function. Coming from a Catholic Pope was actually quite heartening, and the issues of choice. And therefore, as the ANC, as Christians, as Catholics, his legacy will live beyond what the Lord did to him yesterday, calling him back to his Creator. And in this instance, this is a moment of reflection. It's a moment that also speaks to renewal. Sakina, you'll remember that the theme for the Catholic Church this year is that this is a pilgrim of hope. In the quest for renewal of the ANC, the renewal of our country and the world, we need to also take lead on what he stood for on issues of the environment, on issues of beneficiation and the exploitation of Africa, and that no nation is superior than the other, and no continent must be undermined. We should actually go back to those letters he wrote and the messages, and again on his last day after the Easter weekend, coming out again, wishing the people of the world peace, and most importantly, the people of Palestine.
Now, Ms. Mokonyane, as you say, Pope Francis very outspoken on issues such as inequality, about colonial legacies and the like. So brings us to faith-based leadership. As you mentioned, he's speaking on the Usindiso building fire. So what role do you believe at this juncture in South Africa faith-based leadership can and should play, especially when it comes to issues such as accountability and good governance for our country?
Firstly, the faith-based community in South Africa must be united. It's very fragmented, and of course, we need to make sure, therefore, that that fragmentation doesn't undermine the efforts that are made by organized faith-based communities, the Catholic Bishops' Conference, the South African Council of Churches, and many others. We need to make sure that they get very organized in really standing for the truth, and standing for the truth meaning working closer with government and those that are in authority. Because again, in line with the Catholic practice, the issues of transparency, the issues of accountability, and servant leadership are those things that we need to look at. It's unfortunate we have seen horrible things happening, such as the cases of Omotoso, the Pushiri situation, but also challenges that have been there in the Catholic Church that he refused to hide. He said the church must deal with these issues robustly. And therefore, it's not only about what he was saying, it also is something that we don't have to reflect, but in our quest of renewal and the coming national dialogue of South Africa, we need to put these issues that we are raising of good governance, accountability, transparency, and people's leaders to be those that are very important in moving South Africa forward. The case of gender-based violence, at no point has one ever thought, being very young in the Catholic faith and knowing Pope Francis, him speaking out about the rights of gays and lesbians, recognition of diverse marriages as part of choice, and that we need not judge. We need to put systems, therefore, to cushion those that are vulnerable, to save the systems of good governance so that then the poor can actually be served.
And just very quickly on another topic, Ms. Mokonyane, with regard to what seems to be an imminent VAT increase. The ANC stance on this, as a policy matter, speaking to what Pope Francis was advocating for, and where we find ourselves now with the high cost of living in South Africa, this imminent VAT increase, where does the ANC stand on this, given that we are about 8 days out to the 1st of May? And also, what's to be expected at the ANC's Provincial Elective Conference in the Northern Cape? Ms. Mokonyane?
Thank you very much. Again, he's also one of the outspoken people around issues of taxation and how taxation affects the poor. The ANC took a position post the passing of the policy framework to engage with different political parties. There's work that is underway. And once that is done, there will be a National Executive Committee that will reflect on the policy framework and make a determination informed by the processes that have been unfolding. Because this budget is not just a VAT budget, it's a proper way to look at the social spend and the commitment to infrastructure. And therefore, we can't put the vulnerable again to be extremely vulnerable, but we also have to work together in ensuring that the state does have the resources. So we will await the work that is being done and it be brought to the ANC so that the ANC can also have a mandate that seeks to protect and defend the most vulnerable. The Northern Cape Conference, the officials are yet to get a report, but we are aware that conference is underway, part of rebuilding and renewing the African National Congress, where for the first time every branch that goes to a conference must go through a foundation course that helps you to understand what it means to join an ANC branch, what it means to be a member, what are the duties of the ANC member and the duties of the branch, so that then they do not become conferences for leadership contestation, but it must also be conferences that help to have programs that take us to the lowest level of where our communities are in the world. And this is part of how we are renewing ourselves and working tirelessly on a recovery approach post the 2024 national elections.
Well, that's where we will leave it, Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane there. Thanks so much giving us the latest from the African National Congress and their tributes to Pope Francis, who passed away yesterday.